Welcome to the Health Enthusiast Podcast. Here we go beyond the basics, beyond just the parts, to explore the human body as a whole, an interconnected system influenced by our environment and even our consciousness. We dive deep into the science behind health, bringing in top specialists from various fields of medical laboratory science to share insights, discoveries, and expert perspectives. If you are curious about the fascinating world of medical laboratory science in Nigeria and beyond, you have just found your perfect listening space. So sit back, tune in, and let's explore the science of health together. Health Enthusiast Podcast, Episode 1: The Future of Cancer Diagnostics and Treatment in Nigeria. Hello, and welcome to the Health Enthusiast Podcast. Here we dive deep into the science of health and explore cutting-edge innovations in medical laboratory science. I am your host, I.S. Ewa Oche, and today we have an exceptional guest, one of Nigeria's leading experts in histopathology, cytopathology, and tumor molecular immunology. He's a distinguished academic at Bates University, Abuja, and a key figure in the Department of Histopathology at the National Hospital, Abuja. He also serves as the president of the Society for Cellular Pathology Scientists of Nigeria, spearheading groundbreaking initiatives in cellular pathology. With a whopping 332 scholarly citations, his contributions to cancer biology, genomics, and immunotherapy are truly remarkable. Join me in welcoming Dr. Jonathan Uwadiegu Madukwe. Dr. Jonathan, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on this show.
Thank you, Dr. Itodo. It's indeed my great pleasure to have me too.
Okay, let's start with your journey. What inspired you to specialize in histopathology and cytopathology, particularly in the context of cancer research?
Well, when I was in the school and I started medical sciences, I got to learn that anatomy is the bedrock of modern medicine. And I had to x-ray that statement that anatomy is the bedrock of modern medicine. In the course of my x-ray and as a medical laboratory science student, I began to wonder which area of medical laboratory sciences has a great link with that slogan, anatomy, the bedrock of modern medicine. And I discovered that histopathology and cytology is the main one that has strong link with anatomy, the bedrock of modern medicine. And so I begin to see, therefore, that if anatomy is the bedrock of modern medicine, then in the medical laboratory sciences and in pathology generally, I feel that histopathology is a strong point and is a strong area and a strong discipline to really consider. And having loved anatomy very well and having loved histology specifically among all the courses in anatomy, I find myself loving histopathology. And that is how I took up histopathology to study histopathology to its fullness. Thank you.
All right. Your research in tumor molecular immunology is groundbreaking. Can you elaborate on your current projects and their potential implications for cancer treatment?
Well, generally, we've been doing several work in histopathology, immunohistochemistry, tumor immunology. In all of this, the major target is how to personalize treatment for tumor. Other people can call it targeted therapy. Essentially, tumor has been diagnosed, and like you know, tumors being a heterogeneous origin in etiology is also targeted differently. And in the course of targeting it differently, we know a radiology or radiotherapy comes in, treatment by race. The oncology comes in, treatment by chemotherapy, drugs, and the rest of that. Now, apart from these two, there are other specifics that has to do with treatment based on molecular expressions. And so it has revolutionized the way tumors are being treated globally now, whereby one take advantage of specific types of molecules or proteins that has been expressed by this tumor, and then conversely take advantage of that expression and use agents that are against it in the treatment. And that is why we talk today about theranostic applications in cancer treatment. The diagnostic application simply means therapy by diagnosis. And so you no longer treat people anyhow. You treat specifically by endpoint diagnosis. And the endpoint diagnosis, like I've just mentioned, is not just ending the diagnosis structurally at H&E, but ending the diagnosis by bringing out prognostic markers, by bringing out more detailed and diagnostic markers and therapeutic markers, so that when you have more information about these molecular expressions, it becomes very easy for you to say, hey, this and this treatment will be good for that individual. The same is also exploited or explored into tumor immunotherapy. Just like the immune system fights infection, the immune system also is expected to fight cancer. And so when we look at cancer under the microscope too, we begin to ask ourselves, what are the tumor microenvironments of this tumor that can be harnessed for use in the treatment of this cancer? And so that is the idea and the principle behind tumor immunotherapy, whereby you evaluate the immunology of the tumor microenvironment and the immunology of the cancer itself. And when you study these two concepts, the immunology of the tumor microenvironment, the immunology of the tumor itself, and see what is positive and what is not, it becomes very easy to harness a particular immunology panels or immunology concept with which you can develop and fortify them and fortify the immune system to effectively take care of this cancer. And so you are doing this treatment having checked what the immune system of that individual and the immune system of the tumor look like before doing that. A typical example is the PDL1 studies that we do in several cancers. And today, there are drugs that match very well for the treatment of so much tumor markers, so much tumors that have been seen to be positive or well expressed for PDL1 in the tumor and the tumor microenvironment.
But talking about precision and personalized medicine, does your opinion align with the recent declaration by Larry Ellison proposing the use of messenger RNA vaccine in cancer treatments?
Well, in vaccinations, I'm happy because every day there are development. Technology is advancing. And I'm hearing recently too that there are also targeted or personalized vaccinations coming in. One would not be surprised to hear that, especially where in the context of the fact now that we are talking about precision and personalized medicine. And so it is expected to see. So I agree with that. It's expected to see. And even before this vaccination for personalized vaccination that is coming up now, there are personalized treatments, so much personalized for that individuals. Today, in developed world, you can see tumors of an individual in the hospital setting that is being transplanted to a laboratory model for it to grow, to propagate that tumor in the laboratory model. And so much is being studied about that tumor as it is growing. Informations generated in that study within the period of 2 weeks to a month is being translated. It's also a translational medicine. It's been translated. Those information is now translated to the owner of the tumor that was sent to the lab model. And who is the owner of the tumor? The owner of the tumor are somebody lying ill in the hospital setting. And this has given us positive results. So many people have been treated almost 100% by this technology. So it is very much in line.
Thank you. As president of the Society for Cellular Pathology Scientists of Nigeria, how has your leadership influenced the development of cytology in the country?
It has developed and it is still developing cytology practice in Nigeria. Before now, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, we have very few people that are experts in cytology. And because we have very few people, development is looking so poor. As president of the society, I happen to become an internationally certified cytologist, just like you introduced me, by the International Academy of Cytology. And it's a global one. You raise your head high to become a member because The membership does not come easy. It comes with a lot of reading, it comes with a lot of practical exposure, and it comes with a lot of examination rigors that you pass through. I'd like to let you also know that all over the world, globally, that it is the traditional role of a medical lab scientist who specializes in cytology. It is their traditional role to cytoscreen. This role is not Nigerian role, it's not US role, it's not UK role, it's a global role. And since it is traditionally a scientist's role to cytoscreen, I asked myself as a president, is this role being practiced here in Nigeria? And the answer is no. And because the answer is no, so I set up, being a member of the IAC, and I set up to begin to give further training. Not that we don't have trained people, they have people who have been trained, but to give further training and advanced training. And so this we did on 2 occasions. We did it in 2022 and we did it in 2023. In 2021 and 2022, I had to be engaged in training scientists in Nigeria, and I had to invite other experts from South Korea to come help in this training. And I'm glad to say that at the end of the training, on 2 occasions, the global exam, the International Academy of Cytology exam, took place in Nigeria for the first time consecutively in 2 years, 2021, 2022. And as I speak today, I'm happy to announce that we have at least 17 scientists that are also internationally certified. These scientists are doing well and capacity is being built as they are also training more people all over Nigeria. And so we hope and we pray that nature or that slogan that is a traditional role for scientists to start to screen, that scientists will begin to take their position and to do what they need to do as far as the practice of cytology is concerned.
What are the biggest challenges and opportunities in advancing cancer immunotherapy within the Nigerian healthcare system?
There are great opportunities because we're in the place where people want to develop. We really want to develop into cancer immunotherapy. There is that urge because people have traveled out, they have seen what is happening, and so they really want to also have it done to a great extent here in Nigeria. A lot of people have traveled out and they have seen how cancer is being treated. And we ask, why is it not happening here in Nigeria? It is doable, we can do it here in Nigeria. But just like you asked, what are the challenges? There are so much challenges. Even before cancer immunotherapy, the simple theranostic application in the management of patients by targeted therapy is still an issue. Now, the biggest problem that we must solve here in Nigeria as far as personalized cancer treatment is concerned is one of the biggest problems, not all, but one of the biggest problems as it relates to laboratory practice is taking absolute charge of the pre-analytics of tissue samples of patients that has been taken from the hospital, brought to the lab for one diagnosis or the other. Pre-analytics becomes very, very important because if the beauty of diagnosis and the beauty of targeted therapy information that we expect to come from a cancer patient, the question now is, this information, are they coming from where? They should come from tissues that has been well taken care of, tissues that have been processed beautifully, tissues that have been very well prepared before even the molecular investigations. That is the biggest challenge that we have in Nigeria. And I want to urge and encourage every young scientist, every member that is practicing histopathology over Nigeria, put and play more emphasis on pre-analytics. Because when we miss it at pre-analytics, we will miss it at molecular testing and we will miss it at targeted therapy. We will also miss it at immunotherapy.
All right, so looking ahead, how do you envision the future of cytology and histopathology in Nigeria? What steps are necessary to achieve these goals?
So many things are needed to be done. One very important one is training. We have to keep training, not just locally. We have to also send people out to be exposed to see how things are done and how things are also done very well. It's also important to look into the foundation. When you say foundation, when they say get them young, you will notice therefore that for us to succeed, you need to get to the universities. where from beginning we begin to teach these young students. And so, number one, too, they must be properly and well taught. And then, secondly, even after they have finished their undergraduate, they are fine to be working. We must step up specialization program, because your agenda and all the questions you have asked me has to do with an advanced technology. And as we are discussing advanced technology, you must also carry that advanced technology into postgraduate programs. And so, how much knowledge do the master's students know, both theoretically and practically? How much knowledge does those doing PhD in histopathology do they know theoretically and practically? Not just the knowledge, but this knowledge gain, how well can they translate it so that patients becomes better? And so the gap between knowledge acquisition, practically and theoretically, has to be closed up as far as translation of this knowledge gain to make impact on cancer patients for good service delivery. These are things that we must do. If we step up in all of this, you will see a significant difference. And significant difference brings about significant improvement. And the significant improvement brings about good life to our cancer patients.
So let's talk about some of the academic institutions you are associated with. What role do base university and national hospital play in advancing cancer research?
National Hospital has been existing since 1999 till today. And I must tell you, they are more or less like a referral center for histopathology in Nigeria. And for National Hospital to be a referral center in histopathology in Nigeria, it is obvious, very, very obvious, that they are not letting things low. As much as possible, they've been seen to be in the forefront in the development of issues that has to do with histopathology in Nigeria, ranging from the very basic, ranging to the histochemistry, to the immunohistochemistry, and even in molecular techniques. So National Hospital has advanced tremendously and are known today as a referral center in histopathology. Base University, I happen to be associated as a visiting lecturer to Base University, and they are even yet to graduate their first students. So they are still new, and it's a great opportunity, therefore, to begin to impact on the young students the real basics and the ideas and the concept of understanding histopathology. That we are doing, and we hope they will come out very good students, having high hope to also develop future and further in histopathology and cytology.
For aspiring medical laboratory scientists interested in cytology and cancer research, what advice will you give to them?
Cancer research is the in thing among medical research today in Nigeria, probably because globally the prevalence and incidence of several cancer is on the high side. So much attention on cancer, and no wonder so much grant now is being given on cancers. And so there is a great attention on cancer studies, cancer researches. And where there is so much attention, I want to encourage the younger ones to give an attention to a discipline that is crying for an attention. Join them in the research. There are so many areas you can think about research to contribute their own quota in the development of histopathology through research. I advise young students, if you want to look into prognosis, go into prognosis, research talking about prognosis. There are so much to talk about. You can go into diagnosis. You can also go into researches and touching on therapy. The same goes to also cytology. Similar pattern is also explored, can be explored in research in the area of cytology. There are new frontiers to be broken, new frontiers to be opened. And so, just like I used to tell people, that medical laboratory science is not just another profession, but it is an adventure into an unknown world of medicine. I see it happening in cancer research. There is still great adventures that we do not know. And if you understand that slogan and have that slogan in your heart, then I tell you today, there are many, many more that we don't know yet. But keep researching, and you will see several doors being opened in research.
Dr. Jonathan, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Before we wrap up, what message would you like to leave with our listeners regarding the future of cancer care in Nigeria?
Well, I like the fact you said cancer care. Number one, we must join hands to propagate advocacy about cancer, the different kinds of cancers, preliminary cares, touching on preventions. We must disseminate those informations as much as possible to run away from them. Every factors that is associated with cancer has to be well spelled out in our advocacy plan to people, so that people on their own know what you should do and know what not to do and what to do to run away from cancer in the first instance. And then, for those who have one tumor or the other, submit yourself as early as possible, because early detection is key. It is easier for oncologists and doctors to take absolute care of a cancer patient whose tumor arose or was detected as early as possible. And so, every effect of fear, every feeling of fear, we must teach and tell people that fear not, because the earlier it is detected, the better for the patient. And then finally, for those who have even advanced and high grade tumors, we must show them love. We must show them love. But if you are a Christian, you are a Muslim, you remember them in your prayers. Finally, you must direct them to the appropriate institution where high throughput care will be given. And this high throughput care that will be given also culminates or begins with high throughput diagnosis, in line with all we have been discussing so far. You direct them to where they will get appropriate care so that the right medications will be given. Not every patient who have cancer or the other, that you know the therapy and you want to end up in the pastor's house or in the pastor's church. Yes, prayer is good, but we must do the needful. And the needful is the science that even God, the omniscience God, has given unto us. So we must also explore it even as we pray. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for joining us today, Dr. Jonathan. It's been an honor having you on the Health Enthusiast podcast.
Thank you very much.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
All right. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, share, and stay tuned for more deep dives into the world of medical laboratory science. Until next time, stay curious and stay healthy.